It was 3 a.m. the other night, and I was playing Resident Evil 2 Remake because I have no life, and what else am I going to do in quarantine at 3 a.m.? And a thought popped into my head. We have already gotten confirmation that Resident Evil 4 is being remastered, which a lot of people are excited for, except for me. I'm scared of the remake. Okay, but I'll admit I am a little excited. The reason that I'm scared is because I don't want them to mess it up. Before the Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 4 was one of my favorite Resident Evil games of all time. And just a fair warning, you might want to play a little drinking game, because I'm going to say Resident Evil a lot in this video. Editor, put in a counter for how many times I say Resident Evil in this video. That's me, I'm the editor. I'm going to put it in. But anyways, back in 2005 when the game came out, longtime Resident Evil fans had a love-hate relationship with the game because of how much it changed the series from its original core standards. Fans were expecting a lot, especially because the game was delayed more times than Cyberpunk 2077. And the amount of demos that were teased at E3 looked fucking horrifying. So people were getting excited. And when the over-the-shoulder camera angle was revealed to the public, they kind of had mixed reactions about it. I'm a fan of it, but a lot of people aren't. The fixed camera angles have been a staple of the Resident Evil series since the beginning. And that's more than likely why it was hated so much at first, but it eventually grew on most people. Now, whenever I was born, the only Resident Evil games that were out were 1, 2, and 3, and maybe Code Veronica, but I didn't play that one. So all I knew was the fixed camera angles, and the game terrified me then. Later, when I saw my brother play Resident Evil 4, I damn near pissed myself. I was too scared to play it. Eventually, I grew up and grew some balls, and eventually played and beat the game, and it's been in my life for over a decade now. It was a staple of videos for me in my childhood, along with Sly Cooper, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and so on and so forth. Now to divert from that a little bit, when I heard the announcement that Resident Evil 2 was getting a remake, I will not lie to you, maybe peed my pants just a wee little bit. But that's beside the point. I was excited, is what I'm trying to say. The last game Capcom gave us in the Resident Evil series was Resident Evil 7, which was great and delivered a lot of promises. But it wasn't perfect. It was their first time first-person Resident Evil game, and it worked but also kinda didn't, but they did as best as they could. But all in all, we saw what they were trying to do with the series. They were trying to make it scary again. And it pretty much worked. Whenever Capcom said that Resident Evil 2 Remake was going to be using the RE engine, same as Resident Evil 7, but an over-the-shoulder camera, a lot of people were getting excited, especially me. And oh boy, did Capcom deliver on those promises. The game was terrifying to the max. Great atmosphere, giving Resident Evil 2 a whole new meaning of scary. Expanding on the Raccoon City streets and the RPD. Amazing music, amazing enemies, a sewer level still, sadly. I don't know about you all, but I hate sewer levels. For some reason, every PS1 and PS2 game had them. Sly Cooper, Spider-Man, Resident Evil, way too many to count. Hated them. I really need to get into the habit of not rambling. I do it in every single video. It's always about dumb shit that either pisses me off or that I like a lot, so come on, stop it. Okay, anyway, Resident Evil 2, amazing. Capcom came through in every way imaginable. Then we got confirmation that Resident Evil 3 was getting the same treatment Resident Evil 2 did. And all the promises that were delivered in Resident Evil 2, people were getting excited. Using the same engine, same style, even more remastered music. And what I was most excited about seeing in Resident Evil 3 Remake was how Resident Evil 2 and 3 were going to intertwine. And to be honest, I wasn't disappointed with that. And oh my god, the music that has a mixture of OG RE2 and Resident Evil 3 Remake style. If I'm on my deathbed about to die, please play this music so I can die in peace. Oh god, I rambled again. No, I'm gonna have to take a short break. Anyways, I made my video before on my Resident Evil 3 Remake grew on me, because I used to hate it. And now that I have everything unlocked and every challenge done and beat every single game mode... Fuck Inferno, by the way. All I did was read the description, different spawns for enemies, not 5 seconds into the game there was a zombie in the only doorway out of the location that I was currently in. And I died in 2 hits because the zombies run faster than Usain Bolt on crack. And I knew at that moment that this game mode was going to be a bitch. And when I first saw Nemesis after coming back from the electrical place, he burst through the wall and he was standing there 1 second. Next second he was over by me, punching me to death. So yeah, it was not fun. But anyways, the game ending up actually being fun, and it looks amazing. But it still has its problems. A lot of things were cut, the game was severely short, Resistance was pretty dumb. But anyway, what was the main point of this video again? Oh yeah, Resident Evil 4 Remake. To get to the main point of this video, I'm scared that Capcom is not going to deliver on this remake like they did for Resident Evil 3. The original was such a good game, and I still play it every once in a while, to this day. So for the last section of this video, I wanted to make a list of things that I want to see in the remake and things that I absolutely do not want to see. Starting off with things I don't want to see, I don't want to see the game being short. The original game, whenever I first played it, it took me 23 hours to beat because I was really bad at it. If it's under 5 hours, I'm going to be disappointed. And that's it for the things I don't want to see because the game is so fucking good. Now things I do want to see. I definitely want to see the Daddy Merchant make a return in the game. Now I don't know how the money thing is going to work in the game, because in the OG game, whenever you killed enemies, they would bubble up and disappear because the hardware couldn't handle too many bodies, and a bag of money would spawn at where their body was. Now this is a very video gamey way of doing that, if that makes any sense, but I don't know how they'll do it with all these realistic games now, but we'll see. I want to see the treasures make a return. I love the concept of collecting treasures throughout the world and combining them to make a better profit. I can't wait to see them remodeled and in remodeled textures. Same with the merchant. Now, here's one thing I really do want to see. I want to see a major improvement with Ashley's AI. Before, in the original game, it was horrible, and I hope it gets fixed. And the only thing in the story that I want to see changed in the game is Ashley not getting kidnapped every 5 fucking minutes. In addition to the improved AI of Ashley, I want to see her actually defend herself instead of being a dried leaf on the ground. A gentle breeze will rip the poor girl in half. And in the enemies, I want to see a lot of mesh. And what I mean by that is in Resident Evil 2 Remake, bodies would fall apart if you shot at their joints, like shooting at their knees would separate their legs off. And Resident Evil 3 Remake didn't really do this. You can shoot all over their body, and the only part that's going to explode is their head. And I don't understand why they changed that. I want to see a return of the PRL and the Chicago typewriter. Those weapons took time to unlock, and they were so fucking worth it. They were fun to use, and any boss died in one hit, and it felt so nice to use. In addition to the Chicago typewriter, I want to see the return of the special costumes you unlock, and I don't mean buying them, I want them to come with the game. Especially Special Costume 2, so it actually has a full suit of fucking armor. And one thing that doesn't really matter to the game as a whole, I want to see ray tracing implemented into the game. Now I don't know how the Resident Evil engine works with RTX integrated or anything. I don't know if they're messing with that or going to mess with that. But I think real-time reflections in the caves and the castle and the village at night would look amazing. And now that I got the list of things that I want to see out of the way, all I can do now is wait and see until it eventually comes out. We still have to wait for Resident Evil Village and see Chris and Ethan and... Wait a minute. Where does RE8 take place? It just says Europe. It literally just says Europe. They might as well say it just takes place on Earth. I thought that I heard somewhere that RE8 takes place in Spain, and that's where RE4 takes place. And if RE8 did take place in Spain, I was wondering if they would integrate the same locations somehow, like see them evolve over time, because Resident Evil 8 takes place after the events of Resident Evil 4, like quite a few years ahead into the future. So I was hoping to see that they would implement it somehow, see how things changed over time, but we'll see. And I'll be sure to put my 2 cents in as soon as I get my hands on both of those games, Resident Evil 8 and Resident Evil 4 Remake. But that is all I have for today. In the comments, let me know what your hopes are for both RE4 and RE8. I would be interested in your all's opinions, and I'll be sure to reply to them and start a conversation with you all in the comments. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.